Hey,
Yeah. No, yay. I
made
just
it.
got on too. I was like, oh shoot, I gotta get some water. I can't talk for an hour with nothing to drink.
You need some hydration, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying. I'm about to give me something to drink right now. Let me go ahead and grab me something to drink. How's it going?
Look at far more lives from you. I know, right? This is amazing. I put out a press release today, right? I didn't
Yeah.
think like I'm like, we just having a regular everyday conversation. I'm like, why would I need to do that? But then I was thinking, I got a few messages from some people, right?
Okay.
And they're
Yeah.
like, no, you need to share it. Like, once you share it, then I'm going to share it. And I was like, oh, okay.
You were like, oh, that's why. Yeah, spread it.
All right, okay,
Make you
cool.
spread real fast. Let me get my
Yeah,
lighting
because I
right.
was like, I don't want to do a boring interview. Those are just like so outdated at this point. I think I get
This,
even bored listening to interviews online sometimes.
this will not be boring. Make this in a second. Get my water.
You getting some
Okay.
water too?
Yeah, that way I can be ready.
This is so dope. Like for me, like, wow. Hello, everybody on here. This is so cool. I've been working really hard with sharing the word,
Okay.
putting that
Let me put out some of these lights. Let me put out some of these lights so you can see.
that PR drip to it. You got to get the lighting right.
Yeah. Gotta get the lighting right, man.
Thank you.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah, that's so funny. My weekend shares. I know I've been sharing this like crazy. And then when I seen the press release, because I always have like written press releases, but not for myself. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
not with my
it's a little
name
different.
on it.
Yeah, it's a little different, right? It wasn't as easy as you
Yeah.
thought. That's funny.
I'm like, why would it be so hard for me to do? I'm not new to this thing. I've been doing it for over 10 years, but it felt like that.
It felt different, or it felt like
It felt different. Like
it's
I
interesting.
felt like, like when you're doing a press release for an album, it just come like natural. You know who
Right.
produced it, who written it, when is it coming out, when we're
Who's on
expecting,
it?
the
Right.
anticipation day, all that stuff that you put on there. But when you doing, I don't know, for me, with always loving to do stuff for others, when it came to me, I'm like, oh shoot, I've never did this for myself. It's easier to look at somebody else and be like, hey, this title works and we should put it like this. But when I'm doing it for myself, I was putting too much thought into it. I'm like, is this title good enough? Like, is the media gonna pick this up? But then I started seeing, I'm gonna share a couple of the links with you. But then I
Okay.
started seeing on some of the news websites and stuff, and I'm like, oh, I was thinking way too much into it. It was perfect. It's just an
Yeah.
Instagram live.
Yeah, exactly. That's funny. All right. So we're here.
So we are here. Let's
Okay.
start. There is no need for no introduction. This is just a live, right?
All
Unless you
right.
want to. I mean, we could talk about how, you work with Snoop and Kendrick, and, you can add a few more to that
Okay.
list, of course.
Okay. We can start there.
Okay.
Day one, as you know, my name is Day One from Los Angeles, California, Hawthorne, California, to be exact. I have worked with everybody from Ice Cube to Snoop Dogg, Kendrick Lamar, J Rock, SZA, Chance the Rapper, uh, Busta Rhymes. Just I got a nice resume of great artists, that are like timeless. Paul Wall. There's a lot, I have a lot of, and a lot of people are family, Corrupt, Exhibit, like these are people that are like my big brothers now. I came in the industry young at like 19. Sir Jinx was my mentor, and that's about it.
That's how you started.
Yeah.
Okay, since this is a conversation,
Okay.
I started by, I think he's still on here, Dave. I started with Dave Tolliver. he was a part of the group Men at Large, the group
Yeah.
that Gerald Levert had founded.
Yeah.
So I had linked up with him on Twitter because I noticed, you know, he was promoting some stuff. And I'm like, you know, you what's up? Hey, I want to
Right.
like learn some things. So I interned with him for a little bit of time, and then I decided to go out and start my own thing. So we were on the phone, and I was like, "You think I could do this?" I didn't know what the title would be. I just wanted
Yeah,
to
like what it
do
was
something in
called.
entertainment, but I didn't know what the title would be. I'm like, "You think I could do this?" And he's like, "You got it." I'm like, "You sure?" I always double, triple question myself with
Yourself?
everything. I don't
Yeah.
know why I do that, but that's something I got to work on. But I was like, okay. So I started, and then I started to, you know, network with people on Twitter or whatever, and came across Busta Rhymes. And he had posted "Happy Birthday to Focus," right? And
Yeah.
I was like, at that point, I really didn't know who Focus was. So I was like, man, if he, you know, he giving him a shout out, he got to be somebody. So let me follow him. So for about 6 months, I was watching what he posted, how he posted, what he said, started looking him up, you know, checking out his
You doing your
discography and
homework?
stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. And then I reached out to him and asked him if he needed any help. Because you can kind of tell if somebody moving with an army or if they like
By themselves. Yeah.
you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like the what's that dude in the Bible that was standing with all the men strong, but then he ended up in the army by himself with the giants. So that's what it felt like. So I was like, he was like, yeah, you know. So we get on the phone. I tell him the truth. You know, because people be getting you on the
Right.
phone, giving
Yeah.
you all this
Sometimes,
long list
yeah,
of
they be
ridiculous things
gassing.
they can't even promise. So I
Right.
get on the phone. I'm like, look. You know, I only been doing this for X amount of time. I learned a lot. You know, I got a crazy work ethic. I promise, I can't only promise you that I'll put my all into this thing. That's it.
Right.
My work ethic. That's all I can promise you. I can't promise you nothing but that. So he said, come up with a plan and call me tomorrow or whatever, and then we'll talk about it. And then it's just been on from there. And that was over 10 years ago.
A
That was
real one,
only
no,
over
a
10
real
years
one gonna
ago.
be like, a real one gonna be like, man, if you're gonna put your best into it, you know, let's see what happens, you know, because you
Right.
don't really know what that can mean. If someone say they're gonna give their all to something, I'd rather deal with that person than someone that's just like, oh, I know a lot of people, but they're not gonna give it their all. Like at the end of the
Exactly.
day, it's not gonna, who you know is only gonna go as far as how hard you're willing to work for it. So
That's it. Because you can have a big Rolodex of a bunch of people, but
yes,
without, you know what I mean, without that work ethic and that I don't know, that genuine thing, that goes a
shout
long
out,
way.
shout out to Focus too, man. God bless him and his family. I know he's going through a rough patch right now, and I just send him and his family all my love
I
and
am
all
sending
my
them all
blessings
my
about it.
love,
Yeah,
my
he lost his son
condolences.
recently.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that kind of wrecked us out here for a little bit, but I'm sending him all the prayer I got. I got everything I got. So God bless him and his wife and the whole family. Yep. So we here now. We're on.
Yeah, we're here. And so I was thinking the other day, I was listening to something, and the guy said that life and also music I look at happens in cycles, right? Do you agree?
Yeah, of course.
So how do you after all of these years continue to keep your own sound without getting, you know,
Mm.
want to say drowned by the noise? Because I feel like the industry right now is like so flooded with so much content. I don't want to call it garbage because I don't critique people's
Yeah.
creativity,
Yeah.
whether it's good or bad. That's a perception.
Yeah.
But how do you do that?
I agree with you on that aspect of it. Like, I just usually tend to work with artists that I enjoy or that I want to hear. Like, my main focus is always trying to like make something that my main focus is usually always making something that I want to hear, regardless
Right.
of who I'm working with or what we're working on. As long as it's something that I think contributes to the culture and is good, I'm gonna work on it. So like the way I stay thriving and doing my own thing and my own sound is just, I just really focus on me and what I really want to accomplish with the sound I'm trying to make for whoever the artist is that I'm producing for. And, you know, I like a large array of music. I like different styles, different types, different kinds, different genres of music. So I usually implement something from out of everything into everything that I love and make something new. So it's all about just staying creative, man. And I try to just keep positive vibes around me, good energy around me, good people. I try to keep the negative and the bad away from me as much as I can, like as much as possible, so I can keep them negative frequencies out of my circumference, and I can just focus on, you know, making the highest elevation of art that I'm trying to make. Like it's really all about who you surround yourself with and your commitment, like how hard you're willing to like commit and just go for what you believe in and what your goal is. And that's just all I thrive for. I just be like, I'm mashing on this because this is what I want to do. This is going to sound good because I'm going to make sure it's going to sound good. And everything isn't for everybody. So I got to a place where I'm comfortable knowing that everything I make is, everyone's not going to like everything I make.
Right,
that's unrealistic.
Impossible.
Yeah,
Right.
it's unrealistic. So now I just focus on who likes what I'm doing, and I just focus on them and supporting them and feeding them the music that I'm creating. That's it.
That is so dope. I was thinking today, I was talking to a very good friend of mine this morning, and we were talking about branding, right? And how that word, oh my God,
Yeah.
is so thrown around there so much. And what you're saying is, I feel like if you just stay true to who you are, and you being a musician, an amazing producer that you are, you stay true to your sound. And that's for me too. I'm not a producer, but I stay true to my frequency and my
Yeah.
vibration that I put out
Yeah.
here in this universe. And I think that that's what's gotten me this far and sustained me, you know, at this point.
You're right.
So, you know, what do you think about the branding? What do you think about that?
Branding is very important, man. Like, for me, when I first was trying to get known, I had to take a book because being a producer was different than being an artist, right? And I worked with so many artists, and I worked with um, different types of artists, meaning like different tiers, or some artists are at different levels in their careers. So I had to figure out a way as a producer, like how can I brand myself but still do what I'm doing, you know? And it wasn't easy because there wasn't a lot of producers that were like really trying to do that at that time. So I just took on the mantra of rappers. I was around so many rappers. I just said, you know what? I'm about to start just doing what the rappers are doing. Like, so I made sure, you know what I mean? Like, so for many years, there are a lot of artists that I didn't work with at first because a lot of artists were so focused on them that when you would work on their album or work on their project, and back in the days, like people was doing mixtapes or whatever. And when people were doing mixtapes or whatever, sometimes the artist wouldn't even give the producers credit. It wouldn't even say who produced what. It would just say the name of the song and who's featured on the song, and it's their album, and that was it. So the artists that were putting out music like that at that time, I wouldn't work with. I wouldn't do a song with because I felt like it wasn't going to benefit me. And so when artists would come to me and be like, man, Dave, I want to do a record with you, this and that, and they were one of the artists that wouldn't give their producers credit, I would tell them, like, I can't do a record until you're willing to put produced by on your album. Like, I got your last two albums. It's dope. You hot. You making good noise, but you're not giving the producers their credit.
I should have definitely
And
have credit.
if you're giving somebody, if you're a producer that's up and coming and you're trying to get your name out there, and these artists are asking for beats, and you're trying to charge for beats, and artists don't want to pay, or maybe it's a bigger artist, and you're like, man, I don't want to miss this opportunity to work with this artist and be on their album. You want to give them the beat for free or whatever. The least they could do is give you credit and say who produced it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the least you could do. So my mantra was always that. So whenever people was like putting up songs that I produced with them on the websites and the blog sites, I always make sure that they put my name there. And sometimes it wouldn't be the artist's fault. Sometimes whoever was running the website or the blog site would just put the name of the song and who's on the song and not really put your name. But I would contact the website myself, like, hey, could you put produced by so-and-so? Like, I'm trying to throw my name. And they would be like, okay. And they would do it.
That's like watching a movie without the credits.
Yeah, it's rough. It was rough. And it was rough at that time. And I understood it. It's just something I had to stand on because I wasn't trying to just be a producer that was just giving out beats and just working on people's album and not getting no credit. Like me working with you could help me get paid from somebody else down the line because they might hear that song and want to do a record with me then. So that's important. It's important for people to know who did who did what. Even if there's a tag on the beat, sometimes people don't even know what a tag is. Like the tag might say something, but they don't know who that producer is. They just know what the tag says. So it's still important to have your credit. Credit is the most important thing. So I made sure that was one of my things when I focused on branding. Then also I started branding myself like, okay, producers got Twitter pages, artists got Facebook pages, artists got Twitter pages, so I'm a producer, so I gotta have one too. So then I went and grabbed all my social medias and started being active on my social media. Even though I'm a producer, I still was active on there, making my presence known. And that all was a part of just branding. It was all a part of just branding day one. So I feel like branding is a major asset. You gotta have that in your catalog. You gotta have it to some degree. Everybody's brand is different though. Some brands are some brands are low key and incognito. Some brands are loud and obnoxious. Some brands are in your face. Some brands are just like, coy and sophisticated, and so it all depends on your brand and how that fits your attitude. You know what I mean? And I know a lot of producers. When I talk to them, a lot of producers have a lot of problems because they be like, man, I'm not a social person. They're more introverted. But there's still a way that you can be a producer and be introverted and brand yourself like that, and it will work for you. You just have to focus on, okay, how can I be obscure, still be standoffish, because it works for producers to be standoffish.
Yeah,
no one's really mad at that. But you still have to brand yourself. You still have to make yourself known. And the first thing I like to tell producers is, and artists too, I tell them too, like, if you're trying to work on branding yourself, the first thing and the most important thing you need is a name logo. Like you need something to where your name looks a certain way every single time. When I say the word Tide, you know exactly what Tide looks like.
You already connected.
But Tide doesn't have a logo, but their name font always appears the same way every single time. Every time you say Toyota, you know exactly what Toyota looks like. You know what Mazda looks like. So it's important for artists and producers to understand when you're branding something, like all that's a part of your image. So figure out something for your name. Like it's good to just type your name on the computer, and type it on social media, or whatever, or type it on Instagram. But people need to see the replication of your name and how it looks, so that way they can recognize it when they see it somewhere else. It's important.
That is so important. I was thinking about the branding thing, but I also was thinking about I had posted something the other day and I said, I need to focus more on content, build more content. But then I also thought about maybe I need to change that and start thinking about what's my message. You know what I mean? Because you could put out a bunch of content and not be consistent with whatever the message is.
True.
You know what I
mean? You want to make sure that everything kind of lines up in the same vein.
Yeah.
Like if you like talking about dogs and cats, then everything should line up with dogs and cats. You shouldn't start posting up birds and cougars. It's not gonna work. You know what I mean? Like you kind of
not gonna work.
You just find your niche on what it is that works for you. And that's it. If somebody out there somewhere is gonna like what you like, and that's it. You just focus on them.
How do you find a way to stay creative? I was talking to a friend of mine last week when I started doing this, a producer, and he was saying that right now during this time, he doesn't feel creative. Can any of us at any time find ourselves in a spot being creative people such as we are?
Yeah.
Where you don't want to create? Because it don't look like that to me on the outside, but I'm sure, I
go through phases. I go through times where there are moments when it's just like, I just don't feel it right now. And I've learned to just let the moments go by. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, you can't be creative all the time. So, someone like me, it's hard because I have to be creative and then I do outside work. Like I mix for other people. I record for other people. I help other people songwrite. So it's many different ways for me to stay creative, because sometimes I'm not always making a beat. Sometimes I'm just in the studio with somebody, helping them vocally produce their song, telling them how they should say the rap or how they should sing the chorus, or, advising them on what's going to sound good as far as their overall album project or what they're missing. So, and to me, that's all a part of the creative process. But I do understand that sometimes you hit road bumps and speed blocks where it's just like you just don't feel like creating anything. And what I usually go through those phases, I know it's because I have to live. I have to live. So what I mean by that is like I have to go out and live life. Like I have to go. And right now it's kind of hard because everything's kind of locked down. So you have to find ways to kind of like do things to keep you going, but still live life. Like it's hard for me. It's hard for me to create something new if I
Yeah.
haven't experienced. So I need an experience to inspire. So sometimes, you know, just something as simple as going to go get a massage can inspire you later because it makes you feel good, and then you feel like, oh, you know what? I'm feeling like I
I
could do
could do
something.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So put on some music that you love. You know, if I ever hit a speed bump, I put on like music that I love, like music that I enjoy, music that I'm like not jealous of, but music that inspires me because it's like this is so great or so amazing. How did they create this? And I'll listen to that over and over again just to get ideas and spark a feeling because it's all about a feeling. And if your friend's in a mode where he's just not feeling creative, it's just a mood. He has to get out of that mood. He got to shake that mood because music is just a mood. So he has to get out of that pandemic phase and clear his mind, maybe even meditate. Meditation is a good thing that people take for granted, you know, whether it's prayer or just sitting in silence and listening to your inner self. Like
Yeah.
meditation is a big part of the process. Like just sitting there and listening to your breathing and things of that nature can really elevate your creative juices and get you going. Like don't let that depress you. Don't get depressed. You know what I mean? Like get out of that, shake that. And I know it sounds easier than said, but you know, he has to just find a way or, you know, a way to just kind of cope with it. But then look at the positive of it and say, okay, because right now, when this first hit, everything slowed down like a lot.
Everything.
Everything on my end got real slow, really fast. I didn't know what was what, who was coming where, what was going. It was just like, man. And then slowly things started picking up. Like slowly, people started kind of like being like, okay, we'll figure this out. And, you know, you just got to find a way to push through it. You got to push through it and keep them creative juices coming because you're going to need that.
Everything slowed down. It seemed like I was just there in California hanging
Yeah.
out and going to the
And then boom.
parties.
And then boom, nothing. Don't even fly right now.
It was nothing, and then everything on the calendar was canceled. Literally,
Yeah.
just like one by one, and then by
Everything.
like the end of a certain month, everything was gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even things that were supposed to happen later on this year were canceled early. They were like, well, we're not
Yes.
going to do that.
I was still holding on to my trip in September. I was like, okay, maybe we still gonna be able to go. All right, we going. And then I was like, I haven't heard nothing yet. We on our way. And then that got canceled. I was like, okay, so this is just a time to
This is just where we at. This is just
spend
where
more
we
time
at
with
with
my
it.
family. I was
Yeah,
watching
you gotta look at the bright side. We gotta look at the bright side of things, man. And I know some people are probably cooped up and locked up with people that they don't get along with right now, or
man.
people they can't stand, or people they don't like. You gotta find the positive, man. And it's gotta be a positive in there somewhere.
Yes, positive vibes, Alvin. Exactly.
Yeah.
I always see other people with all these comments, but I ain't never had this before, and it's coming so fast. I can't even keep up. All of it sound good. No, but yeah, that is so true. I was watching an interview with Lil Duval and I think it was Joe Rogan, right? And he was talking about how the podcast was built from boredom, and I'm like, man, that's so true. I don't want to say I'm ever bored because I always have something to do. But this conversation thing literally was built for me sitting here like, okay, what should I do? Like,
Right. I feel like to me, podcasts was genius because, and I was on podcasts early. People might not even remember this. I had a podcast show called Hotbox Radio. Woo, back in like maybe 2013. I was way early on it, right? Way early. And we were just too early. We were playing music and we thought it was a radio show or whatever. But podcasts are genius because, you know, as long as you're not doing a podcast show that's based on current events, you know, the relevancy of what you're talking about can still remain relevant and people can listen to it at their leisure. So it's not based on a premiere time. It's just based on your quality time whenever you have to spend it. And I love podcast shows, whether I'm on the road or just
I
driving
do too.
and just mentally, because sometimes mentally you just need a stimulation. Sometimes music is cool, but sometimes just hearing a conversation that's great and you can be involved in it is pleasant. You know, it's pleasant and it's pleasing. And, you know, you kind of like get your brain going and thinking about different things that you may not normally think about, especially when you're by yourself. A podcast is great.
Wow, yeah, they definitely are. And they're definitely as good as your instrumental album that I've been listening to. What was the inspiration behind that after how many years? 10?
The beat session. So I had my first beat tape I put out in like, oh man, I don't even remember. Maybe it was 2010. I don't remember. It was an instrumental album, right?
Yeah.
And that album I took real serious. I made everything from scratch and all of that. And you know, time was coming around for the anniversary of that album, and I was like, man, I haven't dropped the instrumental album since the first one, right? So I had thought about doing it. I really had thought about doing it. I was like, you know, I'm gonna put this instrumental album out. I'm gonna just drop an instrumental album, right? Like with all these beats, because I have tons and tons and tons of beats. I'm talking about thousands of beats. Every year, I make a new folder in my playlist that has instrumentals in it, and each year, I usually end up with the year with like 200 or 300 beats for that year. So, and you know, everything doesn't get picked when you make it because some stuff is ahead of its time. So now I'm up to about 13. I have like 13 playlists with different beats in them, and each one has like 200 or 300 in each playlist. Yeah, so I was just like, man, you know what? I'm gonna just go through here and find a group of beats that I like, you know, ones that I enjoy and I like, but have never been used or no one tried to rap on, or like no one tried to make, like that whole instrumental album were beats that I had that no one did a song to. So like when people hear it and they're like, yo, can I rap on this? And I'm like, yeah, nobody been wanting to rap on it, so I don't, you know, it's cool. Yeah, like, go ahead. And I kind of just did it for people that were like stagnated and wanted to write, especially when the pandemic happened, because I dropped that in the middle of March, like right when the pandemic hit, boom, and everybody was stuck at home. I'm like, instrumental album. And so people are like inboxing me like, oh my God, thank you so much. This has inspired me to start writing again and doing that, because everyone kind of fell into this like depressed mode of like, I don't know what's going to happen. And so, you know, I kind of put it out to inspire people to like, you know, whether it's making new music or making new beats or writing new songs, just keeping it going. And people just really gravitated to it. They just loved it. They loved it.
I love it. Last Winter is my favorite.
That's Go get that. Go get Beat Sessions. It's out now. Go look up Day One
Beat Sessions on my bio.
Yeah, go get it.
You can click on my bio. It's there. Yeah, definitely. It's a dope album. I mean, Last Winter is my favorite, but Galaxy I played over and over.
Last one? Let me think what the last one is. What's the last one? Hold on, let me think. Hold on. Don't say it. Let me think what the last song. Let me see if I can remember what the last song is off the top of my head. No, I can't remember what the last. Oh yes, I know what the last one is. It's the Live Groove record. That's the last one, right?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
You can look it up.
No, I just wanted to see if I can guess it.
No, I have ADHD that I diagnosed myself, and there is no way. A lot
of people love Galaxy too. A lot of people love the Galaxy.
The Galaxy is really dope because it feels like it takes me somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like I travel to some place that I've never been before every time I listen to it.
Wow, that's crazy.
You know what I mean? Like I cannot listen to music that don't take me nowhere.
Yeah, it has to elevate your mind. Like what am I listening to? That's the goal.
Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I be on the hood. I am from Cleveland, right? I do listen to some of that sometimes, but that depends on the mood.
I mean, it depends on the mood. Yeah,
it depends on the mood, but I'm not always in that mood. That'll have me going 85 and a 60. You know what I mean? Because I don't know what that is about that music. Like I want to like get in a boxing ring and fight.
And go for it.
Yeah, I can box, by the way. And and I just want to, but Galaxy, I was listening to that a couple of times today because I'm in the final draft of, I'm writing a book right now. So I
Yeah.
listen to that over and over and over because it travels. That is so great.
Thank
What's
you.
the difference between producers and beat makers?
A producer. Okay. So a beat maker is just that. So let me start there. A beat maker is just the guy that makes a beat.
It's just the title. The title,
And anybody
whatever
can,
it
and
is,
anybody
that's what
can,
it is.
yeah. And if anybody knows how to hit a pad, they can make a beat. So like making a beat isn't the hard part. Being a beat maker isn't really that hard because anyone like, I could put a beat machine in front of you and tell you, oh yeah, you hit that, and you might hit some sounds together and like them, and then you're a beat maker. You made a beat.
Right.
Like, but a producer is like, a producer is someone that's going to have resources. A producer will have outlook on the song, meaning like a producer will give you a perception of the song, to and from. Maybe like he might have a beat, but he might say, you need to rap like this on this beat. Or he
Yeah.
might say, you need to rap about this on this beat. Like, you need to come with something that's like, da 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 da. Or it's like, you got to chill back and be cool and calm on this beat. Don't be rah, rah, rah. Be like, yeah, because I'm in the place and I'm blah, blah, blah. Like, he might tell you how to rap in a sense. And a producer will also help you cultivate the song to take it from the beat making stage to an actual record. Because to me, having a song and having a record are two different things. A lot of people got songs. A lot of people got mixtapes and got songs.
Oh,
But
yeah,
a
they
lot of
do.
artists don't have records. And having a record is something that can cultivate and move the pendulum of the culture. That's having a record. Having a record is something that can impact. It can impact a culture in a way to where something can move, instantaneously just because of this song. That song is a record. Like, oh, that's a record. Like, that's not just like someone on a beat just rapping their heart out. Like, that's just a song. A producer is someone that can help you make a record.
That's a big difference. So that you have someone from the beginning to the end versus the
Yeah,
beat. But that's the
yeah.
thing. Like a lot
And
of
sometimes,
artists don't
and sometimes
understand
a
the
producer.
importance. And I'm glad, and I'm so thankful that you explained it the way that you did, because a lot of artists don't understand the difference between that. And it's definitely a different sound for sure. The producer actually takes the time to give you, that sound that matches with that
Yeah,
artist.
they're gonna
That's an
fine tune. They're
amazing
gonna fine tune
process.
it. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
gonna fine tune it and make it right. They're gonna say, "Oh, we need a girl to say this part," or "Oh, we need a little kid to say this right here." Like that's all producing a record, like putting it together. And sometimes a producer doesn't even have to be the one that made the beat. Sometimes somebody else can make the beat, but another producer could come in and tell you how to rap on that beat, how to get a better reaction out of that beat that was made, whether they produced it or not. So sometimes being a producer isn't all about how you hit the pads and how you play the keys. Sometimes a producer is a guy that has an ear. He just has an ear and he's like, nah, people are gonna gravitate to this better if we do this.
Right.
And then once you do that and you're like, wow, these people actually really reacted to it because the producer he knew the ear, he knew how to read people, he knows how to read the frequency to be like, you know what, we're gonna channel this emotion if we do this. If we do this right, it's gonna work. And that's a producer.
Speaking of frequency, speaking of frequency, I promise you, and I know it to be true. I know it. I can listen to Focus production, whatever that may be. I don't care who he produced for. I can listen to his sound with my eyes closed in a room with a bunch of producers, and I promise you, I will pick out his sound. I really take the time. This is not promote myself as no publicist because I've never actually ever done that before.
Yeah.
But I will say that I feel like I'm a very good team player. And I understand I've been taking the time to grow and develop and study.
Right.
And master it. I do understand the importance of building SEOs and analytics and all of that stuff. I went to school and studied biology with a minor in chemistry. I did not have a background whatsoever in music and
Wow,
entertainment
that's crazy.
whatsoever.
You're like a
Don't
mini.
get
You're like a
stuck
mini
in
break.
this
You're like a
PR.
mini
I didn't
Breaking
even
Bad.
know what a PR was,
Right.
right? So
Right.
I started getting the books. I started studying, and whatever. We got to this point. I don't know your sound. Like, it's so different. Like, there's no way. And that's not comparing. That's just saying that it's just a different sound. And that's a
Yeah.
great thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, that's a
It's
really good thing. And I'm like, wow, he's really making me work with this one. Like, I have spent hours. Like, I'm always up. I take, cat naps. And I take my time to listen to your music, because I feel like when you're a part of a team, everyone, it doesn't matter.
yeah.
Like, if I fall short of what I'm doing, that's you. You
Right.
understand what I'm saying? So I just feel like, with being a part of your team, that I want to know your sound. I want to know that when I'm
It's
talking
so
to
I know.
journalists and
I
people,
know.
that no,
Okay.
that ain't even
I'm,
him. You know
I'm gonna
what I
give you one of
mean?
my
I just
secrets.
think that you're amazing. I
I'm gonna give
think
you one of
that,
my secrets.
what instruments do you play? Like, any instruments?
Yeah, I play keys. I don't play anything else besides the keys though. I I have like other musician friends that I play with or that I have come in.
Yeah.
But one of my tricks is this. Like I always wanted, like when I listen to music, I personally get a kick out of people hearing a song and not knowing that I did it. I actually get a kick out of that. I actually respect that and like that more than someone hearing a song and hearing my beat and knowing like, oh, that's a day one beat. Because I feel like at that point, I feel like I'm limiting myself to a style, and style kills creativity. So I try to make it to where having a style is just dependent on who I'm working with,
Mm.
because I'm gonna tailor it. I'm gonna tailor it to them, or I'm gonna tailor it to how I feel. And I always thrive for trying to make sure that my last beat, I'm always striving to make sure that my next beat doesn't sound like my last beat. That's always one of my things, and that I think is one of the things that keeps me creative, because I'm
Yeah.
always trying to find a new way to elevate what I just did 15 minutes ago. So
That is
even
so
down to the aspect of changing up my drum sounds, like I'll change up my drum sounds, I'll change everything around. So that way I want to totally, completely confuse the listener, because I don't want them loving the song because I did it. I want them loving the song because they like the song. So it was never based around, I took me out of it. I was like, let me
right.
just remove me and just have it about the music. And that's why a lot of people be like, man, you did that too, and you did that. I'm like, yeah, you did that. Like,
Right.
how'd you do it? Like, because I thrive on trying to I thrive on trying to confuse my listener to be like, damn, that was him too. Because I feel like you should have to limit yourself to that. You should be able to do whatever you feel. Just do
Yeah,
it.
definitely.
Just do
Definitely.
it.
I'm trying to look on here and see what's the last song. Top
The
Down.
last
That's what it
song? What is
is.
the last song? I don't even know.
Top Down.
I thought it. Which one?
Top Down. What number did you say it was? What was the song
Oh,
you were
Top
saying?
Down. I thought it was a live group. Yeah, Top Down is the last
It's
record.
right before that one.
It's right before that. Right, I was close.
Yeah.
I forgot Top Down was on there.
Yeah, we talking about
And
the beat session.
what's funny is if you look in my catalog of beats,
Mm.
the names of the songs are what I called the beats when I made them. That's just what I call them. That's just what I called each one of those. So it's not like anything. I didn't do anything crazy. I just took the actual name of what they were and made that the name of the song. Like, you know what? This is the name of it, because that's
Man,
how I
this
felt when I
is
created it.
is really cool, and it was definitely right on time for sure.
Yeah, definitely,
I was
definitely.
inspired. That was another thing that inspired me to do these conversations. The one was Joe Rogan with Lil Duval, because it was like 3 hours, but it didn't
Yeah,
feel
wow.
like 3 hours. I was sitting there watching it like a documentary on Netflix. It was so cool. And then the other one that inspired me was the one that you did with Bishop Lamont. Oh gosh, I listened to
Oh, the
that a
interview,
couple
the
times.
beats and bars that we did.
Yeah.
Hey, beats and bars was great. The Corona
Oh
just slowed everything up.
man.
Hopefully, we'll get back. We're gonna get back to beats and bars. But yeah, that was great. He gave us he had some really good stories. He had really good stories about his career and where he came from. Um, And that was actually pretty awesome. I can't wait to start doing those again. Those beats and bars
Yeah,
were dope.
yeah, you
So,
definitely got to do that again. It's like super dope. Speaking of, I'm from Cleveland,
okay.
raised by my grandmother. You know, my dad, he was at the home all the time, but I didn't know it. One of those
Okay.
kind of situations, black sheep, you
Right.
know, that kind of situation. And my mom was addicted to drugs, so she was kind of like out, you know,
Out and
doing her
about.
thing. So that's why I tell people that, you know, when people are so focused, like when I talk to, especially when I talk to the kids, a lot of kids, it doesn't matter what the circumstances look like. It really doesn't determine where you can go. I would have never thought in a million years that I would have made it up into this point where I
Right.
can do what I love to do. But I've been doing what I love to do all along. But this, I just feel like this is different. Like I want to wake up and do this. I
Right.
do this without getting paid. You know, understand what I'm saying? Because I love it so much. What did your background, how was your background starting out?
My background was kind of cool. It was I had a really good childhood. I grew up in a house with like I grew up in a single parent home, right? And for about 7 or 8 years, I was like an only child. Then my mom ended up meeting a new guy, and they made my little brother. So then it was two of us. But then when my little brother came, the new guy that she had, he already had two kids, and so we pretty much were all raised together, all four of us.
Nice.
So grew up in a nice house. Moved out of Compton, moved to Long Beach, moved to Hawthorne, and so that was pretty much my foundation. I went through most of my middle age, everything all junior high, everything was Hawthorne. Then came out of that situation. They ended up breaking up, and he ended up moving him and the kids back to Texas. So we got separated. So
Oh,
I feel like at that time of us getting separated was when I really dove into my music because that separation kind of like it was like a huge void. And diving into the music was something that I kind of was always into as a child. Like I used to dance Michael Jackson dances around the house. I got pictures of me doing Michael Jackson dances when I'm 6, 7 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like everything, the whole outfit. So growing up doing music, I just kind of had a knack for it. Like early on, I used to be able to grab keyboards and just play what I heard on the radio, just put in my ear. I could just replay a
oh,
radio song.
wow.
And so I think my mom kind of knew that, and so she kind of nurtured that, and was like, you know what do you need to make some music? And I told her I needed a beat machine. She went and bought it, and the next thing I knew, I was just making beats at home. And then I had friends around me that were artists that were trying to rap, so I was trying to rap and be in a group with my friends, and then trying to like make records that we thought were going to be comparable for radio or whatever, and trying to tell producers how to produce it because I didn't really know how to work everything in the studio. And then one day my friends was just like, why don't you just try to do it? They was like, why don't you learn that? Just learn that shit, man. Learn it. And so it's, and just do it. So then I was like, you know what, you're right. All right. So I started learning it, and then I got good at it, and then I just didn't stop. I just
Wow. And
kept
so you've
going.
been doing it all your life.
I've been doing it pretty much I'm pretty much doing it all my life. Like when people ask, I'll be like, man, I've been doing this all my life. I don't even know anything
You've been
else.
doing it all your
Like
life. My
for real.
grandmother nurtured, for me, she nurtured just to do whatever it is that made me happy.
Hmm.
And I don't know, for me growing up, I knew that I would get in front of people and speak on the mic and stuff like that, but I still hadn't decided what it is that I wanted to do. So I decided
Right.
to go into healthcare. And I worked as a medical assistant in the EMT. As I'm telling you, that I've seen a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I worked as EMT for a very long time. And then I just decided, a little over 10 years ago to get into entertainment. So that's how I got into it. But I feel like I've just been doing what I love to do up until this point, though, because I absolutely love being an EMT. I mean, what's the greater feeling than to be a part of saving somebody's life?
Like life. Whew. I
That's
know.
an
That's
amazing
major.
feeling.
That's
But it's
major.
also that part of the job that I always sometimes talk about when I go to speaking engagements is when that doctor says the time of death is, that's so final. And every time when I think about that, that's what keeps me inspired to keep creating and doing what I'm doing. Because
That's
just 3 years ago,
crazy.
my heart stopped. I had to be resuscitated back to
Whoa.
life, myself. And that's so crazy. I
Wow.
spent my life doing this, and
Yeah.
someone had to do that to me. So
Wow.
I said that once I came out of that, that there was going to be no more fear, because for a long time I feared success. That was my
What?
thing. Yeah, I actually feared it. I didn't fear, you know how people don't want to go out and network because they're afraid of hearing the
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Well, I was afraid of hearing the yes, because I was getting so many of the yes, and I'm like,
Yeah.
man, this is crazy. What am I supposed to do with this? And that's why I said that it's very important to trust the process.